It's known for its beaches, rush hour traffic, and expensive homes in the Hamptons. But what you might not know is that Long Island is also a hotspot for anomalous activity and unexplained phenomena. That's where brothers John and Jerry come in. As the operators of the Nightcrawler, an RV equipped with specialized video and radar technology, they've been documenting the mysterious lights and crafts appearing off the coast. And they've brought the footage. Poke and PRodcast welcomes the Tedesco Brothers.
Begin with, how did you guys actually get into this whole UFO thing?
Well, it started back in July of 2021 when the ODNI report came out and talked about the tracking these objects and Navy pilots seeing them. Avi Loeb from Harvard's Galileo project had gotten involved, and he was at first he was looking at interstellar objects. Then he wanted to start looking at the UAP issue. So we had started building a mobile laboratory because we wanted to do electrosmog surveys, and we wanted maybe to look into studying violent weather phenomena that dealt with lightning or dark lightning, some of the more exotic weather phenomena.
Yeah, it was roughly around the same time frame. It's it's I know it's bigger over in Europe, the UK with electrosmog measurements and that sort of thing. What we were concerned about is the EMI emissions being given off in either from power lines or just high frequency transmitter equipment, cell phone towers, that sort of thing. And we've been following cancer clusters, so we set out to do a paper on this particular study to find out what the concentration levels were like.
Map out the explosion.
Yeah, so we started mapping out the island and just to see exactly what those levels were at ground level, and it kind of moved on from there. We had an RV that was already built for the spectrum analyzers and most of the equipment we needed, for the research with the UAPs. So it kind of went hand in hand, and Avi Loeb was genuinely interested in what we were doing, and decided to put us on as affiliates. So we helped support their cause and actually got them, helped them out with some of the designs and so forth.
Yeah, we assisted their engineering team
for their
developing their sensor platform.
Yeah,
but we remained independent, and they wanted an independent track. So it's actually two different tracks.
Yeah, so I mean, it's their research basically is more of that's a stationary fixed platform, and we have a mobile platform. And so some of the equipment is similar, but different, different approaches.
I like the how you guys take the scientific approach. Like Kevin Nuth, he's the one that put me on to you guys. Great. Oh man, he's a great guy.
Kevin Knuth, great guy.
Yeah, we had him out for 2 nights.
We're actually working with him. Yeah, working with Kevin right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he got the full tour.
Yeah. It was on one of the coldest nights of the year.
It was freezing. Luckily, we have heat in this thing.
Yeah. He came out. He was. He had an asthma attack or something.
He had some asthma issues, but well, luckily, like I said, we had heat in there, so he enjoyed the RV.
Right. Yeah, we kept him warm.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. So,
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff are you guys picking up with these instruments?
So
we should probably explain what instruments we do have.
Right. It's a 30-foot C-class mobile home, and it was converted over. We redid pretty much everything on it. The construction was redone. There's a Faraday cage, believe it or not, that's built within the walls, a metallized cage that once everything is closed up, it basically blocks all RF emissions from the outside. So it safeguards the data taken by our equipment. So it kind of isolates any kind of emissions, that might be picked up by some of the equipment, and we didn't want equipment that we'd have to, disregard the data and that sort of thing going forward, especially out there that, we have out by Rob Moses, you have a big 5G cell tower system and, that they're blaring these microwaves all over the place. So, we wanted to kind of isolate our equipment from that. And, aside from that, we have spectrum analyzers. We have two different types of radar systems. We have a marine-based X-band radar, horizontally mounted antenna. There are two different geometries, horizontal and vertical. And the reason why we did that was to basically get a better slice, a better cross-section of something that was flying overhead or over the horizon. The radars typically go about 40 miles, and we got an FCC experimental license to do that, which wasn't easy. It took some trials, to get that through.
That was a challenge.
But as far as detection methods, it's been a big plus, at least for us. And we've expanded along those lines with smaller portable radar systems called millimeter wave radar, which is all Doppler systems. We have, if you look inside this RV, it's a full telemetry pack. You got monitors all over the place. We have 6 different monitors in there. That is pretty much, I'm sorry, we have a plane flying right overhead. We have 6 different monitors in there. And each one is monitoring a particular piece of equipment. We had quad view video systems that we can integrate various different feeds and record those feeds together. In other words, if we're making comparisons between different hyperspectral cameras, we can compare them all at one time because we're recording them all at one time. We have
Geiger counters.
we have Geiger counts, but on the monitor side we have UVC camera. It's a UVC camera picking up the UV band. We have IR, we have shortwave IR, we have longwave IR. We have now, of course, night vision systems, and around the perimeter of the RV is surveillance cameras that are all night vision cameras as well. So we're pretty much monitoring everything that we see. And like Gerald said too, that we have different types of high energy radiation counters, the Geiger counters. We have 4 of those, and we're working with something with newer technology right now with we're using LiDAR, and we've expanded it to for a particular study that we're doing what we consider phase 2 at this point, which is much more instrumented than it was in phase 1.
Well, you got a lot of
so-
layers of equipment, and so if one thing is showing something, if something else confirms it, it's not an anomaly. It's
Exactly. Yeah, we layer it. And that was the first thing we did. We spent like probably the first 3 to 4 months narrowing down what the prosaic what the prosaic things were.
Yeah, and that was important to us too, because we spent a good portion. We wrote a book in February this year. It was called Eye on the Sky, Nightcrawler Eye on the Sky, and it's about our journey, our year-long research. And most of the book, I would say probably, a fair amount of it, at least half the book is devoted to prosaics. It's how we analyze them, how we, distinguish between that and something else that would go into the other bucket. And we were very close to 2 different airports, JFK, of course, which is to our west, about 45 miles. And we have MacArthur, which is a local airport, a small local airport. And we also have LaGuardia out there. So, we wanted to determine where the air traffic patterns were and the flight corridors and isolate that from what we were seeing and be able to identify the navigation lights on these objects, on these planes. And, what we discovered is that they can be tricky. Yeah, they can definitely be tricky, especially when you get an airliner that's in a holding pattern and it's got its strobes on. So those are the kind of things that we wanted to eliminate as a possible anomaly. And we did that through the radar systems we had. We were able to track them. We did it through long range telescopic telephoto cameras, both visible and IR. that went from SWIR up to the long wave, which is thermal. And these cameras have not just digital zoom, they're optical zoom. So we can zoom out, get a lot of detail, and look at the fuselage of these aircraft, and look at the navigation lights, look at the wing structures, and that sort of thing. So they were easy enough to identify once we had the right equipment on it.
The other thing is the area we chose for a reason. It was an isolated area. We had actually gotten a research permit to have some control over the area. So the most of the visitors and population would be funneled out at about 7 o'clock at night, and we would have pretty much most of the control. The only other people would be out there would be a fishing permit or a skygazing permit, and they usually would end their what they were doing probably about 11, 12 at night. So that point on is when our peak observation was done. 12 after.
Right, and we would stay all night long. So it was an all night research project. It's
and the other thing is we would focus on those later times or after midnight, is because the air traffic would also drop and be very marginal, very extremely minimal. So that didn't become a problem for us. We also mapped out the flight corridor, so we would stay away from it.
Right, and in parallel with that, we also had various different software packages that we were using to identify air traffic, which is ADS-B software. We have marine traffic software, so we can identify ships that are out there and so forth if there is any traffic, and try to isolate that. Especially if we're looking at the superstructures on these ships from the shoreline. I mean, they some of the lights can be a little tricky as well. So that's something, between, of course, the Mara apps and the ADS-B, we also, in conjunction with the radar systems, we were able to isolate those things as well, those prosaics. So, but what we discovered, in a short period of time, is that there was something else that was spending its time out there, and we really couldn't find any kind of an identification for it.
These things would show up randomly at different times. It could be midnight, it could be 2 in the morning, it could be 4 in the morning. But we would see these spheres of light, orb-like spheres of light, that would just pop in and pop out. They would just suddenly appear, and it would appear near the coastline. And they'd loiter along the coastline. Some of them would rapidly accelerate. Some of them would pair up in different formations. But there was ones that would loiter out there for long periods of time, and we noticed that as we were filming these things with hyperspectral cameras, they would change their luminosities too. And in the intense luminosity, they would appear as a spherical ball or orb of light. When the luminosity dropped, then we started to see structure in there, and it looked to us like some kind of a polyhedral structure, a multi-flat-sided, circular structure.
Yeah, and with that structure too, it's depending on whether it was in the visible part of the spectrum, it would suddenly change its frequency range, its wavelength. So we'd see them in the visible light, then we'd see them in the infrared, and even as far up as the shortwave infrared. Now that's of course this is all invisible to our eyes, near infrared and shortwave infrared. But these objects seem to manipulate or signature manage what they were doing. You would see them pop in and pop out, but sometimes they would still be there. You'd still see these objects, but in a different camera view.
Right.
A different type of
spectral range. Yeah.
Radar was difficult because the detection on radar was intermittent at best. We had scattered returns.
Yeah, they would pop in as intermittent returns.
Almost like fireflies. Our heights, unless they were going out 3 to 5 miles, we weren't able to get something that was above 10,000 feet. So we ended up putting a radar and an actuator on an arm, so we could pitch the antenna, and we could get the antenna much further up, so we can get a sky view. And that was the other reason for putting a vertical antenna on there too, the vertical axis.
Yeah, we give us a higher elevation.
Yeah, so we can sweep at 180 degrees and go straight up into the atmosphere. above us. So, that's something else. So it's a different way to get a profile on these things. I'm an electrical engineer, design engineer. So I've been working with a system, microwave system, radar system that is it's pulsed. It's a pulsed radar. It's Doppler
yeah.
effect.
Yep.
And there it's within the of course, with the restrictions with the FCC, we had to stay within certain parameters, power levels and that sort of thing. So, but we can get a scan out there from about 3 miles.
Okay.
Within the field of view of the cameras, and these are pulse radar systems, and they're some models will do distance, the other one will do distance and speed, velocity, and it's all through a Doppler system, and we're using LiDAR on top of that as well.
Okay.
The light, which is the counterpart to radar, which is laser invisible light.
And we had some interesting features with that too. We recently began using the LiDAR system within the last few months, and we noticed that we can, if these anomalies would pop up, we were able to bounce a LiDAR beam off them.
Okay.
So they weren't that
Interesting.
far out, and some people said claimed. Could it be a star or something like this? So no, well, that's how we did. Well,
Yeah.
we made that determination.
Yeah,
right away,
yeah. I mean, the LiDAR systems, depending on the model, we have various different ones that we use. One has a decent discriminator, and that'll go through fog. It'll go through sea spray, that sort of thing, and that'll give us about 2,000 feet. Then we have other models that on a clear day we can get over 8,000 feet. So we can see quite a ways out as far as bouncing a beam off a target. And like Gerald said, we've been able to get some refractions from these objects and see them in the night vision cameras. Which is basically it's mated up to the LiDARs.
Wow.
So you mentioned how they kind of phase in and out of different, I guess, spectrums. Burleson, Eric Burleson is in Congress. He said that he was told that these things phase in and out, just like you guys said.
Yes.
Representative Anapolina Luna.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, she said, this is last year, I think, when they did the skiff.
Yes.
She said, we got to be, correct in what we call these things. David Grush said, not aliens, but interdimensional. And like she said interdimensional, like she didn't just fucking say interdimensional.
She came right out.
Just kind of rolls off the tongue.
I think it's incredibly important to listen to the specific words that Grush uses. Grush never said extraterrestrial or alien. He said interdimensional. I think that that's incredibly important because those are the types of things that when we go in there, there's just certain things that I think that it's important that you guys listen to on that.
She really believes in this stuff too. This is awesome. Her Burchett, you got a few people, and and the numbers are growing, which is great because there's going to be a hearing on November 13th. Another one. I think they're bringing.
Is it Mace? What's her name? Mace, right? Nancy Mace, that's it.
Yeah.
Nancy Mace.
She's the one I believe that asked, are there, were their bodies on these crates? Which she asked Grush, are their bodies
right
found?
Yeah.
He goes, yes, there were biologicals found on this thing. And were they human? No, they were not human. So
Yes. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
So these objects, I mean, I'd say the bulk of what we've been seeing down there are they're orb-like, but we have had a couple of instances where we saw cigar-shaped objects as well, and we actually have a recording that's on the Google Drive when we've supplied it to various different agencies. We can also give you guys a link as far as taking a look at what we have in our data, video data or instrumentation.
Also, we had given some of the videos to Matt Ford. We were on his show, the Good Trouble show, and he had showed some of our videos, or some of the stronger ones.
Yeah, and Russ Coulter as well.
Yeah, and Russ Coulter we just did.
Yeah. So it's But the object that we saw was a daytime object, and it was all white. It seemed to cross a path of an airliner that was in the glide slope. So it was, I would say roughly probably about, about 45, 50 miles from where I was. And I had a hyper zoom camera at the time, which is, it's got 125 times optical zoom to it. So, I was able to, zoom out, and I got a, cross section of what was going on. And this crossed the path of an airliner, and it seemed to have a wobble to it as it crossed the path. And this is something that, we're hearing from other passengers that are seeing these cylinder shaped objects that I think one was at a LaGuardia airport.
Yeah, there was that woman that photographed it with a cell phone.
It was an arrival flight, and she had taken a picture with a cell phone.
I think that
so
went past at the window.
Yes. Yeah. And the object that we saw was similar in shape, and it seemed to have a club shape to it.
And it also had that similar, like the one she had photographed, it looked like it had a lit surface on it. And this is similar to what we had in our video. In one frame of it, the object seems to rotate, it seems to change its orientation, and it gives off a bright flash of light. When we froze it in that frame, you could see the object that has it changed when it changed orientation. You can see it's got a wider end. It had a club shape, and the club end of it was in the direction of travel. And on that club end looked like two lights on it, or two very reflective surfaces.
Yeah,
and it was very odd looking.
Yeah, and it's roughly about 35 to 40 seconds worth of video, and you can see that there's only one frame where that luminous structure came on. Either a pair of luminous lights, or some kind of something giving off light, or reflect, like Joel says, some kind of highly reflective surface. But it was only in a single frame. There was no navigation lights or anything like that we could see.
And no wings, no tail.
No, yeah, nothing like that.
How big would you guys estimate this thing was?
Yeah, it's hard to say what size it was. I mean, it was crossing the path. They were at the same focal point, so we're assuming they're relatively close to each other. And the object, I would say, it was probably 1/4 the size of the aircraft. So
this was a large airliner thing, right?
I don't think it was a large airliner. It was a smaller
or mid-size.
Mid-size, yeah. It was a smaller. It was a jet. It was a jet, but not a large. Not as big as a 767 or something.
I would say this object probably would be the size of maybe of a small plane, a Cessna.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff that we've actually measured through triangulation and the distance was. We've got sizes anywhere between 2 and 4 meters in diameter, and that's been pretty consistent.
And you guys said you had a link to this video and stuff?
Yes, there's a Google link, and let me put that. See if I can put that on your chat here.
What's your guys' reaction when you actually come across something? Like, I would just be stunned, shocked. I don't know. Like, what does that feel like?
It was shock and excitement that we actually caught something, and then we had a pattern of catching some of these things because we started to learn how to see them.
Does it make you worry?
They seem, something. The interesting thing is they seem to be aware of our presence out there. And that seems to be maybe the reason we saw them more often. The other thing is we actually had vehicles out there like 1 o'clock in the morning. There were unmarked vehicles, black, very heavily tinted windows. They had formed one night. They had formed a small arc around the behind our RV at a distance, but they had their high beams on so they could see us, but we couldn't see them. And it was people getting out of the vehicles. It looked like they were observing what we were doing. So we had of course lit up our cameras on the RV, which had cameras all over it. So they kept their distance, and we just let them know we knew they were there. So they were there maybe an hour, a couple of hours, then they left.
It's the feds.
Maybe somebody.
Yeah. It could be. It's
Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black. It's we all work, like I said, we've worked with some federal agencies, so, it's, and I think for them, there's been no surprises, so far.
I mean, that makes me worry. I mean, it's exciting, because you hear the ups and the downs. And Rob will tell you from day one, total skeptic. Did not believe it. Was like, nah. I said, I'll do this, but I don't believe it. Now I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
damn, I believe it for sure. Like, there's something there. It's just too
Yeah.
much out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
them
Right.
in.
It was, and we always kept like before that an agnostic approach to it. As we saw more, we dug more into it, and we saw more of the pilot, radar, multi-witness cases and
Yeah.
sensor cases, and
Things that you couldn't easily
you
dismiss.
just can't dismiss that.
I mean, especially the instrumented data that was coming back, it's
Too many good reports.
and there's been quite a few reports here on Long Island too, and like the Southhaven Park incident, where whether or not it was ever a satellite that came down, nobody knows. But
And they put that
this
guy
is-
in was it Rockland County psych
And
ward
it's like,
now?
yeah,
he's still there.
he's
He's still there.
That
That's
was
weird.
Ford or something. What was his name?
He was running a
uh,
Ford. Yeah, John Ford, I think, right?
John Ford. Yeah.
He was running
Yeah,
a
he-
Lufon, the
Yep.
local UFO.
yeah, Long Island, right?
Yeah. Like from what I heard, it sounded like they set him up and then they put him away for conspiracy to commit murder or something like that. And
It was
went
kind of
to-
it was kind of odd. I mean, they alleged that he was trying to poison politicians with some radioactive isotopes or something. It was just
Yeah.
it was just bizarre.
Yeah, it was bizarre.
It was bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah. Apparently
Yeah.
the whatever they found didn't have any kind of level that could do any damage. It was
Yeah.
just like to test out Geiger equipment or something. Whatever it was.
that stuff
Yeah.
you can order online. For the test samples for to test out the equipment. The instruments. But
it's a pretty wild story. I mean,
yeah, it really is.
It's interesting, that's for sure.
yeah, he pestered, he kept pestering them for answers, and then ultimately, I think two of the guys who he was trying to get answers from, or who he was supposed to was going to kill, they ended up in jail for fraud.
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah.
What was the Suffolk County? What was he? Some Suffolk County bigwig. I forget his name.
Oh,
yeah.
So with all this going on, I mean, is this your full-time job or like?
No. It's
This has been more of a hobby. John retired. I'm still working.
yeah.
So we do this mostly on the weekends and occasionally, if we can, during the weekdays. And we have other researchers that come out with us. So if I can't make it on during the weekdays, John will grab one of the other researchers and see if he can get more time out there during the weekdays.
For me, it was a forced retirement with some health issues that I was dealing with. So, some of the neurological stuff that was going on, it's, I don't sleep. So this was perfect.
Yeah,
So I was,
that makes
sense. Like me.
getting out there and being able to do this kind of research, it just kind of fit the bill. It's,
Great for insomniacs.
yeah, great for insomniacs. But it's interesting. A lot of the stuff that we had to be very, sometimes you have to be extremely patient. There's days that we're out there we don't see anything, and then we'll go out at a time frame that most of the stuff seems to happen at the early morning hours. When there's minimal flight traffic, and that's when we see, we'll see these the lights, these orbs that seem to not have a destination in mind. It's they just kind of meander back and forth, and it's we see them. We saw them one night over an area called Democrat Point on Robert Moses, which is a kind of an end of a peninsula, and there was in the night vision cameras we saw these objects that were rotating and off an area of beach. They had looked like they were just moving back and forth, and they were almost at times looked like they were perching like birds. It was kind of bizarre. There was I mean, I could count at least 6 or 7 of them, but there might have been even more than that.
And the interesting thing is when you see them rise, off the ground and then to make a lateral travel.
Right, and then suddenly just
And
disappear.
disappear.
What
know, so
what does your family think about all this? Because I know my wife would be like, I gotta go.
My wife has my wife doesn't well, it's not part of it going out there. She's afraid of it. And she has a lot of patience. Yeah. Because I'm out there like 12 hours a night. I was, at least for the period of time we was out there doing the study.
Yeah, my girlfriend has a genuine interest in it, and but she doesn't have the technical side of it, where we've like I said, we've had to bring people in that on a voluntary basis that had the technical skills and stuff to use the cameras and set up, because there is so much equipment that has to be set up when you're out there, so it's a major undertaking. It's a major fiasco when we're getting out there. It's but having the approvals and having the permits in place, that helps a lot. We have a parks permit that allows us to go to several different parks, and we can set up a night out there, and even at Montauk Point, which we were out there once, which was Camp Hero, and also seems to be an active area as well.
And we intend to actually continue our phase 2 out at Camp Hero.
Right.
Isn't Camp Hero that Montauk project? Isn't that where that was?
Yes.
The alleged Montauk project.
Yeah, the old radar installation is still out there. You can see that, the antenna, which is I guess a monument at this point.
We had a guy come on who claimed he was part of the Montauk project.
Yeah. Yeah, we heard some stories, some bizarre stories about it.
Yeah, bizarre to say the least.
Yeah. Let me go on. Let me see what we got over there, and you guys can bring them up. There's we're being completely transparent with this stuff. It's we're sharing what we can share, and whatever we find, or any of our findings is out there. We just published a paper in the Applied Science Journal. Applied Research Journal. So that was peer review. We also have a book out, that we published in February. If anybody's interested in additional data on it, it's like 241 pages worth of stuff.
Actually, you got the book right here.
Yeah.
Is there any pictures? Because my New York education, there's got to be pictures. Oh, I have seen that book. Yep.
There's pictures.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's lots of pictures.
Yeah, and so we made sure that
when we want a dry read either.
Yeah, we made sure that we got the better published paper on it too. That the pictures you can actually see.
It doesn't soak up the ink.
And I will be ordering that from Amazon.
I mean, we have several interesting videos. We had one video where we have an object or orb actually rotating, hovering just above the water, and this is at the Atlantic Ocean, so it's hovering just above the water, within I don't know, 10 feet, something like that. But it was casting its reflection onto the surface of the water. And it was constantly adjusting its elevation.
We've gotten some strange radar anomalies, and as a researcher, as an engineer, I want to find out why those anomalies are taking place. And I'm kind of suspecting that this might have to do with the gravitational lensing. Because we're doing long range scans with our radar, and we're getting late return signals. And I just want to try to understand that and document it the best I can. I'm in contact with some of the manufacturers of the radar systems as well. We just had to put a call in to Veruno, and trying to pick their brains as well to see what this might be. But some of these tracks, we'll scan a ship out on the horizon, and we'll have an unusual reflection. The ship will take on, basically it'll cover a complete quadrant of the scan as it's scanning across. All looks like a late reflection, and with a delay. And
this seems to occur when there's an object like between us and the ship.
Right. So this is something we want to explore further, and of course there's some incidents with some of the fighter planes and that sort of thing with the pilots, is that that there's been delays in their GPS equipment, and that sort of thing. So, this seems to be something going on that's interfering with these electromagnetic signals. And we're just trying to, try to understand what that might be. Okay, so you'll see this white cylindrical object just pass or pass near in close proximity to that airliner there.
And you see it was moving at a really good pace, actually faster than the airliner.
Yeah, and we've gone
That's
frame by
wild.
frame, and it has a bit of a wobble to it.
I hear that a lot, the wobble thing.
Yeah, it's they don't seem to be very stable. In flight.
There may be a reason for that.
Yeah.
I mean, define gravity. I'm sure there's gonna be some negatives.
Right.
Something different about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I got a slow-mo version on that. And that might even be on the same video.
Yeah, I think it's on the same video.
This
there it
is it. Yep, this is it.
Wow, look at that.
So you can see the plane, you can see its navigation lights, and then you see this thing just kind of.
You see its little wobble there, and
It's almost like a missile.
yeah. Somebody had said that. What is that? A missile?
Yeah, it was actually an astrophysicist that said that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes me back to flight 800.
Yeah. Which is basically in our backyard, with this research.
We have brought that up as a discussion piece. Is that if these objects, have been offshore even back then, is it possible that one of these things could even accidentally struck the plane?
Right.
It's something to think about.
So a friend of mine said that they saw a video on News 12 when that first happened. I don't remember if they said. I think they said it was I don't know, UFO or a missile. I don't know, but one of the witnesses said, "Yeah, I saw a UFO or missile. I forget. I really got to ask my friend again. Hit it and blah blah blah, or shoot it down." And it was pulled and never seen again.
Yeah.
I looked into it. I had worked for News 12 for a little while, looked into it, and I couldn't find anything. I'm sure that's not something they'd keep around anyway. But
I heard there was some radar data as well. That
really?
there
was also a claim of a satellite image that I never heard. I heard it once. I didn't hear anything about it after that.
Yeah, so
I know there's quite a few witnesses who came forward and claimed they saw a streak of light heading up towards the plane, and of course they were told that their perspective was off or whatever.
Yeah. I think there was I think there was a couple having. I think it was a party in Mastic Beach, and they had a number of people that saw something.
Yeah, there was quite a few people came forward. Yeah.
There was several witnesses from that party.
Yeah, it never really came up with an answer. What happened, as far as I remember?
No, they had claimed that the center fuel tank had either sparked or ruptured, but not they never found the exact cause. They talked about maybe possibly frayed insulation, but of course, there's no evidence. There's no real evidence of that, other than the whatever it was, whether it was a spark or an impact. It seems to have been at the belly of the plane where the center fuel tank was. And it's kind of also where people may have was claiming to see something
rising, very, very quickly.
It's like things like that. I don't maybe who knows what happened there. I don't know. Maybe it really was a fuel tank issue or something. But to say that or the Phoenix Lights or different things where they just say to you, no, it was flares, and that's it. Now how are you going to disprove that?
Mystery solved.
Yeah, right. Even though thousands of people seen whatever, flares. Sorry, there's one guy who said, as far as the Phoenix Lights, he saw 100 feet above 100 yards. I'm sorry, 100 yards above his head. This V-shaped craft going right over him. He's on YouTube with this, talking about this. 3 lights on either side, and it was clear as day. It was one piece vehicle. It was not flares. It was black. In between the V, it was like a distortion. Like if you see gas rise or whatever, or out in the distance, you see kind of the mirage look. He said that it had that and slowly went overhead. And the only thing that they heard, and he said it was more like they felt it, was like the buzzing coming from it and went over. It was huge. He said it was like the biggest goddamn thing he's ever seen in the sky.
Well,
So-
Yeah, it was really interesting. Definitely really interesting.
yeah.
That's why the media seemed to have stayed away from those reports when people seeing the large V-shaped object they kept in that one video with the lights, but they never seemed to explore deeply about these other witnesses.
There's
Yeah.
there's another video there if you guys you have time or you want to look at it. It's it's called the Hitchhiker effect.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. So that that was an unusual incident because that happened after
We had come back.
a research venture out there, and we had come back at around 1:30 in the morning. Parked the RV. Roughly about 2 hours later, the cameras were on the RV, the surveillance cameras, and these surveillance cameras are they're all night vision. But they're the one in the back, we had shut off. We have a switch system. We actually shut off some of that IR light because we don't want that to be impinging on some of the data that we're looking at. And in this one case, we had a luminous source, a source of light that was directly over the RV, and we believe that source of light is what shut down or tripped out the sensors on the telephone poles for the streetlights.
Yeah, three of these streetlights went out that surrounded the RV.
Wow.
And they went out sequentially, but rapidly, one after the other.
Right. So there's three streetlights altogether. One on the passenger side, one just behind the RV, and another one just to the front. And you could see these lights go off all at the same time, and then you see this growing light that appears off of the frame on the back of the RV that you could see in the camera. And it goes from blue light to white light. And you'll see an interference pattern in there, in some kind of an electromagnetic effect.
That was affecting the cameras themselves.
Right.
So do you park this van near your residence?
Yeah,
Yes.
John parks it near his residence.
Yeah, it's right in my
So
driveway.
when John was
Straight
sleeping,
in my
it looked
house.
like he had a visitor.
Yeah, it was in my
I was gonna
driveway.
say, they know where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they know where I live.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it here and see.
Yeah, we were talking about the whole Hitchhiker effect, and like Elizondo said he had orbs in his house.
Yes.
It's interesting that you spoke about that. We've had the same thing. Several of us have seen these things, have been followed by them. We had a researcher named Donna Nardo. She was one of our senior researchers out there. She used to work as a private investigator. She has a good background, good communication skills electronic communications background. But she had woken up one morning. This was during us, during that research period, and she woke up to an orb of light several feet away from her face, hovering in her room, in front of her face. It was several feet away. She said it was a dull-looking orb that eventually faded. We also had a researcher who was a former Navy guy. He's a star watcher in his free time. So he was out in his backyard watching these, filming stars and photographing them. He saw 3 stars in the sky. One of them had dropped from the sky and rapidly approached his home. And he actually ran. He ran to get his IR system, his IR binoculars, and he actually filmed this orb of light that looked about almost the size of the full moon, and it was floating around his backyard, passing some trees, and it seemed to running, trying to follow this orb, and that we have on video.
That's crazy.
Yo, I want to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, can I come out and one night with you guys? No, I'm
Absolutely.
thinking, fuck that.
Yeah. Ooh.
We like the company.
I'd love to come out, but now I'm a little worried about that crap. I'm a pussy. I don't I don't want to see this shit in my house.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
my
that's I think we acted that way on, and we had an August incident.
We had an incident with something that one of those orb-like objects approached us on the beach, and it rapidly sped towards us. And we were startled. We were really startled and a little freaked out.
Bring some spare underwear.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Yeah, man. I don't blame you.
Okay. All right. I think I found it. Let me give some background
Oh,
on
this
this.
is on the vehicle.
Yeah, this is on the vehicle.
Okay.
This is inside. This is the four quadrant view of the camera system. The upper left is on the driver's side. Now the vehicle's parked forward in the driveway. The upper right is the passenger side. The lower left is the rear of the vehicle, and the lower right is the front of the vehicle. And what you have to do is pay attention to the lights. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so this on the passenger side, you have a street light here. In the front, there's a street light between the trees, and it's actually lighting up a car just below it. There's a street light behind the RV, which is you can see it's lighting up the whole street here. And you'll see on the driver's side that some of that light is impinging off the wall of this house.
Yep.
You know. All right, so I'm gonna start the video, and you'll see the street lights go out. All three street lights go out relatively at the same time, and then you'll see a light forming on the frame here, and a very distinct interference pattern. And you can see there's some light changing already.
Mhm.
Okay, lights are all out. All the street lights are out. You'll see the light here. See into this fine weave. This is the interference pattern.
And you'll see that looks above, and it almost looks like something lowering and the light expanding, getting brighter.
Yeah,
and that was super bright.
Yeah, it almost like something descending.
And that's not a very shiny metal. It's almost a rust type paint.
Yeah, but it seems like the light itself was bright enough, had enough luminous energy to shut down those street lights. On top of the hoods of the poles, on these lamps, there's a photo interrupter, a photo sensor that basically, as the sun comes up in the morning, or it goes down at night, that sensor is in an on state, and it's supposed to of course kill the light during the daytime and allow it to switch back on at night.
The interesting thing is, in order to affect those sensors, you have to have the light has to be above the sensors. So they have to be above those lights.
Yeah, it would have to be, at a significant distance too. I mean, they're very directional, those sensors.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Right. Now you see at some point before the video ends, once the cameras recorded for, I think it was like a 2-minute period. You'll see the streetlights come on just prior to that. And you'll see that they'll come on. I believe they're sodium vapor lights, and they take a while to stabilize. So they come on, and they take roughly about 3 minutes to come up to full brilliance. See, they're back on. You can see this one up here, the one in the front's on, and of course in the back now you can see it's coming up. So it just appears to us that something had tripped those sensors, and then this unusual formation of light on the back with the interference pattern was very unusual.
Man, I should bring your work home with you, man. That's crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's another object that we saw that almost looked like it had almost like cohesion. There was two objects. There was one that we saw. It was about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. The object would move from east to west, and we could see it just under the cloud layers. And
You're quite sure.
it was a rotating cube. And with that particular object, you could see something to the right field of view coming down through the clouds, but not actually making it through. But you could see a beam of light, and you could see these two objects. We went frame by frame, and you could see these objects merging. and almost like in a cohesive pattern or mating, and they synchronized rotation, and they were rotating as one. And it was the light itself it looked like a kaleidoscope. It had it looked like a rotating polyhedron.
That's a big word. I don't even know what that means.
If you look like a multi-sided cube with more than 4 sides, that's a polyhedron.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see.
Here you go, Mike.
Oh, hey. Looks like a D20.
That's what I pictured when they
The D20.
die.
There's your polyhedron.
Could have just said D20. I got nerds for kids. They like all that D&D
The
stuff.
game piece, right? A game piece. Yep.
Okay.
I see. So this was an object that was riding along the coastline in a lateral motion. It was moving from west to east, very close, very low to the water. And if so, you can see it wasn't that far out. Very bright, orb-like object. But you'll also see that I think you can make out that it's rotating. It's also occasionally changing its color.
It's glinting, and it's I believe this is the object that also shut down our UV
it shut down our UV sensor, which
it actually tripped the sensor.
it tripped it 3 times, which is an indication that that could have been due to an emission of a plasma.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see something on the water flashing too. This was
I saw
another
something
object
back
that was following it on the water. And it was intermittently, you can see it rotate,
wow.
you can see it rotate. And you can see this one rotating.
Oh my goodness. Like if
You'll
there
see-
was ever a time I was a skeptic, this is like
This
make
was-
me a believer.
This was a big one for us that when we got that video. And we got it on 2 cameras too.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just heard him scream, "Run, bitch!"
Something it was a little startling too, standing out there filming it. You were just hoping it stayed its distance.
Holy cow. That is amazing. Now, it probably doesn't do it any justice while being on the video, but if you were to say how big these things were, what do you think?
We actually did some triangulation. We were able to get a distance on it, and by using some calculations for the field of view of the camera and the aspect ratio, we were able to figure out its size. And they were anywhere between 2 and 4 meters in diameter, relatively small, and they kind of fit the profile of what some of the fighter pilots were describing as far as the size of the
like the size of either a small car or a small aircraft.
Right. But in every case that we were able to make a measurement, they came out between, and with some degree of error, I would say probably 1 meter, 1 or 2 meters, but I would say no bigger than 4 meters.
Wow.
Man, I really want to know what these things are.
Yeah,
It's definitely fascinating. That's what we're trying to understand what these things are.
yeah. So there is another one here that
There's one on the water.
I want to see if I can find that one.
Mike, if you come out here, I'll go with you with these guys. Then you can protect me.
That's game on.
That shit comes at us, bro. You stand, I'm gone.
Okay.
Once in the military, always in the military.
I have to stand my duty, right?
Yep.
So we're lining up another video. This is an object that was, this was over land. This was actually over the beach. And it was hovering low to the ground and was actually casting reflection on the beach grass and some of the sand. And it was very bright reflection, but you could see how low it is to the ground. But you'll see a rotating ball, almost like a starburst of light.
So these are cones. This is an area of Democrat Point, and parking field 2 of Robert Moses, and they had coned off this particular side of the parking field, and because of some, I think they had some kind of exposition that was going on
During the day.
the next day.
Yeah.
But they had coned off this area, so I couldn't drive in there. But the object that you see here is literally on an area of beach that they call Democrat Point, and it's just behind a fence line. And this object was sitting there rotating like a starburst, and it was casting a reflection of light on the ground below it.
And you'll see what John actually zoomed in on it.
Yeah, this is at 2:00, 2:30.
It was a 60 times zoom.
60 times zoom.
Are the reflections in the cone right now from that, or is it from the
No,
camera?
the reflection of the cone is from that it's from the lights from the RV.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah, the
okay.
reflecting light from the RV.
Okay, so I zoom in. And you see
Holy cow.
So this thing's rotating. It's got that bright light under it. And
It's my alien.
Oh my goodness.
That was wild to see that. That was wild.
I'm gonna try to
Yeah, go
light.
back there. Can I see that again?
Yeah, I'm
And
gonna do
how long
this.
was it there?
It was there for roughly about 3 minutes.
The interesting thing, there were two other lights that we saw. John was having another researcher. He saw it and he showed me the video. We have two other lights that they're a distance from this one, but they're in the same line. And he tried to zoom in on one of those other lights, and as he zoomed in on it, just disappeared. And we have another video with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I'm trying to get that brightness up so you can get a better perspective as far as what's around it. Let's see.
That's all.
It's bright, but I did it for a reason. Yeah, if you look below it, you see this down here?
Mm-hmm.
That's a barrel, a reflective barrel. So that barrel was directly in front of this object. I would say it was probably about 20 feet back from the barrel. And
Wait,
you
is
could
this
see it.
is this over the water, or is this where?
This is actually over a piece of land. It's this beach.
Okay.
That's a beach area. I'll play it again.
Yeah, this is the parking field with its cone, but beyond that is the beach area.
Yeah, it's and
that's where this object is. It's over the beach sand.
and there's a fence line there.
Okay.
So there's the barrel. There's this object. Oh, just over the beach, doing its thing, rotating.
Yo.
Okay, then bring the contrast. Bring that down. Let's see it in its original form again.
Yeah,
More barrels.
you can see more barrels. Yeah, and this is the without any changes to the brightness contrast.
That's crazy.
Yep.
And that was casting an intense light down on the ground.
Then we have another one that's over the water.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you see this, I mean, are you seeing it through the camera? Are you seeing it out, with your own eyes?
Most of the time we required infrared IR cameras to see them. Occasionally they would appear visible,
Okay.
but that wasn't often. It was the most often they would be in the IR spectral range. But doors like the one you saw meandering along the shoreline, that was actually visible and it was in near IR. It was both.
Wow.
All right. So this is the object that had a little bit of cohesive characteristic with another object. And let's see. This was at two. I think it was roughly about two in the morning or 1:45. There's somewhere around.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. So you'll see in the middle here's the object.
Yep.
And you'll see there's a light cloud layer just above it. And let it play through. So
And you'll see that polyhedral. You see the polyhedral shape as it's rotating.
Yeah.
and it's giving off a kaleidoscope of color.
That's John readjusting the camera on the tripod.
Actually, I took it
Oh,
off the
John, what's
tripod.
going on?
Yeah.
Now you'll see, let me pause that a second. You'll see that there's a second light coming down from the cloud layer.
Wow.
And this is not from this light. We closely examined it. We blew it up. We went frame by frame. This is completely independent of the other object. This object's rotating. This one was kind of stationary with light. And they seemed to start to rotate as this object got closer, and it synchronized rotation, and almost like they joined together and both moved up into the cloud layers.
That's crazy.
And you can see our reaction.
Yeah. Go back again. I think we have the enhanced version too. You'll see that the light forming coming down.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to show this to my wife. She may be a believer by the end of this.
My wife don't believe shit. She wants to see an alien in the house. I don't want to see an alien in the house.
Yeah, I'm
but I believe.
Wow.
And that's our typical reaction.
So how often do you catch this stuff?
It's I mean, it's extremely random. Most of the time, I said we were out there for 10 months to a year. But now it's over 2 years. It was I don't know what percentage of the time I really.
Yeah, but the thing is, there was times when we actually saw what looked like swarm activity. You know, there was in 2022, and I think it was November.
Yeah, November,
December. Yeah, it was. We saw objects out there that was. I mean, I counted 15 of them.
There was a period of time when they occurred more often to get, and it was become more common. Then there was a period that, of course, we didn't see anything for a while.
Right, but that was after the dredging operation.
Yeah, there was a dredging operation.
They did a huge dredging operation, and they tore up the beaches. Cleaning the beaches up. Once the dredging was done, the sightings
declined
quite a bit.
And I don't know, I don't know what disturbing I don't know what the direct
maybe a natural habitat of some sort. I mean, the thing is though, we're still seeing the objects. You still see them out there, but not to the extent that we were seeing it prior to the dredging. That was a huge operation they had out there too.
Yeah, it seemed to have taken off like between August to was it November? We saw most of them.
Yeah, in August to November.
Yeah.
Toward the end of November.
Yeah.
And
I hear a lot goes on Mauritius Beach or Mauritius Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a story about people seeing something and possibly something that might have touched down over there.
I heard a few stories over there actually.
Yeah.
And there's they speculate that there's something under there living, deep in the underwater, and just about how deep you can go.
Yeah, it could be that. That's something we were thinking about. There was there's actually a trench, the Atlantic Trench. I go to it's called the Hudson Trench.
Hudson Valley, I think. Not Hudson Trench, I think.
Yeah, and there's a trench on both the Pacific coast, off the Pacific coast, and off the Atlantic coast. And one thing we thought we were having is, could these objects be hiding out in the trench? That deep trench.
Yeah, the trench extends out I think it was about 35 to 40 miles from where we were.
Yeah.
Have you guys gone up, speaking of Hudson over there, that's a hot spot up there.
Yeah.
Hudson Valley.
One thing we'd like to do is one time is get a boat out there.
Yeah. Here's an object, and I believe this was.
Now John is shining a
lidar beam at it.
He's trying to get its attention. Now it's hovering out there. It's not that high over the water, and then another object will suddenly appear. And this one will actually react to the light. It'll actually disappear.
But it changes.
It changes positions.
And there's another one above it.
Right here. There's another one above it.
What the hell is that?
This is that swarm we were talking about.
And then there's another one that'll appear right over here.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness!
Another one just materialized.
And then a third one.
And they seem to be reacting to us, John hitting it with the light.
What the hell? Why would you do
that? For research, it's for science.
Oh, were you guys missing time after that?
You know something? We had some odd instances. We did miss some time.
Yeah, there was one night that we were observing these objects, and there was I think we were observing 4 of them.
It was similar to this. It may have been the same night. They were close to the coast, and we went to get a closer look.
The security cameras were recording us, and it recorded 22 minutes of video. Actually, no, we were out there 22 minutes.
We were out
there for 22 minutes. It was recording the whole time, and I shut it off and only recorded 2 minutes worth of video. The bizarre thing is that we were out there for 22 minutes.
It just didn't make any sense at all. Didn't make any sense to us.
The video wasn't truncated. It wasn't, it was just 2 minutes. That
Yep,
was
it was just like it was something abbreviated the video. It was weird.
Wow.
It was really
That
weird.
makes sense. P. Diddy only had 998 bottles of lube.
Oh. This is some amazing video. Holy
Okay.
cow.
Thank you.
This is
We did our best.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can see that there's the light aside to the right of it,
It's shining some kind of light backwards.
but it disappears though. That's the whole
This
thing.
it's weird thing. It disappears, and in this becomes a separate ball light, or maybe it changed positions. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're filming these? There's nothing. I can barely see. There's one I can barely see with my eyes. The other one I can't see at all.
Yeah, there's the other one.
I see two space.
I wonder if you see this, I wonder if you can get some drones up there quick enough to get over there.
You know something? That's something we talked about. We were actually talking to a couple of scientists who wanted to bring a drone out there. The only thing is, it's tricky to get a permit because this is a federal piece of land, it's a national. So there's drone restrictions out there.
That's a good thought, Mike. But can they get that high? Like, how are those things too high for the drone, or?
Some of the objects we saw, like those objects,
Were pretty low.
I would say I don't think they were any more than 1,500 feet from the waterline.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's possible. It's possible. At least you get a closer, maybe a closer view of it.
Yeah.
So
if, like,
go ahead.
Nah, go ahead, Mike. Ladies first.
Let's say what about they have these large weather balloons they could put up. What about if you put some kind of sensors up there to get a little bit higher, maybe a different view? I don't know. I'm just thinking.
So that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, the next part in the phase 2 is where we're using remotely operated cameras. They're going to be 4G or 5G service on them. We've already purchased a couple of them, but we're going to need we'll need a lot more. What we want to do is to monitor various different locations, and even around the country is try to find hotspots and to set up these sensor systems with a portable radar unit.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Going big, Mike.
Man.
So what if like a random dude like me just came along, and I had my hobby drone that happened to have a camera on it, and I flew it out there.
Something we actually had some aviation guys out there, and they were considering bringing out probably a bigger drone. We were talking about some of the legal, might be touchy, but we said they should bring the drone anyway, because we could talk to the Marine Bureau out there, and maybe they can, maybe they'll let it slip. I don't know.
Well, we've been pretty fortunate with them. They've been very cooperative with us.
Yeah, we've been friendly with them. So
yeah.
I wonder if you could find a guy that already has some kind of drone permit to be out there.
Right.
I know you can get one. It's a little tricky, but I know you can get one.
Right.
Especially for research, experimental permit, for experimental research.
Okay, so this is west of the parking field. This is Democrat Point, and we had showed you that rotating object that was in the visible light over the sands. This is in the night. This is night vision. This is using the Cynix Pro. And you'll see that there's a bunch of barrels lit up here, reflecting the light back. I have my headlights on at this point, and there's some barrels in the front, and you'll see some barrels. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I believe it's 8 barrels altogether here that I counted. But there's some other stuff going on back here behind the barrels, and that all came up in the night vision.
Why have the lights on? That's not going to disturb the equipment, or are you using it for reference points?
Well, I was originally, I had no idea what I was looking at first. So I put the headlights on.
Okay.
And then I realized I'm going to shut them off. I'm going to look at look at them both with the headlights on and the headlights off in the night vision. Because I was looking at the reflections. At first I thought it was the cones and the barrels. But then I saw something in the background happening, which it didn't kind of align. It didn't align with the safety system, the safety equipment that they had out there, the safety barrels.
Yeah, you'll see these dull. They look dull compared to the barrels, but you'll see that there'll start being quite a few of them out
Right.
there.
So
And then they'll start doing something weird.
right. So I patiently waited and I videotaped it with the night vision camera. Now, if you watch closely, let's see,
There's one here.
you'll see this object rotating. Now you're going to see two others.
You see others coming out. See them rising from the ground.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You get these two seem to rise out of the ground.
This is a fence area with some
That's another one appearing.
weeds behind it. Now there's three.
And you can see the other one's elevated. It's above the ground.
One
Now it's moving
disappeared.
to the right. The other one's still rotating on the ground.
Now look at this one as it gets brighter and brighter in luminosity. That's a rectangular. It looks like a polyhedron of some sort.
And it disappears there or changes spectral range.
This one moved over more toward the sign and before that disappeared.
Now, how high would you say that was? That's pretty high. It's
It looks like it's about 20 feet from the sand.
Wow.
And it's a sign. This is a sign in the foreground. And you'll see there's another object forming.
Yeah.
What time is this?
This is 2:30 in the morning.
Hmm.
And
Now, the interesting thing is it looks almost like a behavior. It's like to me, it looks like it's trying to mimic the surroundings as a form of camouflage.
yeah, see this. You
Yeah.
definitely see some kind of a polyhedron rotating in there
Yeah.
and disappeared.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. You guys got some amazing footage. Holy cow.
I like to find that one over the water that was hovering over the water. John?
Yeah, I don't know how much time they.
It depends. Yeah, it
Time we
depends on how much time you guys got.
You guys have a nice collection of stuff here. I haven't seen many people with that much footage.
We tried to, work with Harvard University, the Galileo project, to try to get them out there and collaborate. Some of this stuff. Early on, we thought that they're going to get involved, and ultimately it turned out that they didn't want to get involved.
They wanted to follow their own course.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an issue. I think if nobody's going to collaborate, that becomes a problem for us. Either gathering and accumulating data sets that we can all share.
Yeah, we've had that with academia in general, which is disappointing. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, well, you really want to try to replicate the findings of the other guy.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if they duplicate or they follow us, or that maybe they partner with us out there, we're using their equipment, then of course maybe get a data set on another piece of equipment.
Mike, you looking at porn? What are you doing?
Trying to order a book.
You don't read.
They said it has pictures.
You can show some of the pictures, some of the video.
Yeah, you know what?
Equipment, if you want.
I go audiobook. Audiobook it.
Gerald was actually recording the radar, and we have it documented on a regular video, but this is from his camera view, and you'll see a wedge-shaped pattern that they form over the water. Yeah, so let me explain this. So the RV is parked this way. This is the water. This is the ocean. This is the area of Robert Moses State Park, and this is where we're parked. There's an island around here. There's a beach area, and radar is facing this direction
Over the Atlantic Ocean.
And what we did was the radar has a mode called echo trails. Any kind of solid reflection, it'll basically paint that position of where that object was
as it's creating as that object is in motion.
Right. So I had basically set this up for infinite persistence. So every time there was an object, it would basically paint a pattern of where these objects were, and you see it's a geometric pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Lined up right in line with the radar where our radome antenna is. And these objects in the middle are solid returns, but they're not static. They seem to be all over the place. And what I'm wondering is if these are latent returns. These returns are occurring because some kind of a possible a lensing, a gravitational lensing of the radio wave.
So you're saying this tracks its pattern?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we
Wow.
might be seeing is the delayed pattern. If these objects are moving rapidly, this might be a delayed pattern of where they were. And it's the signal, the reflection coming back, and the signal come back is delayed.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Right. They're, like I said, if you took the echo trails off, you would see these things would pop in and out like fireflies.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is when this was happening, we were videotaping or those orb-like objects. One was hovering just above the water, and it was about 7 of them that suddenly appeared. They were in different spectral ranges in the IR, but they all appeared in a wedge. We can actually see the wedge pattern in front of the vehicle.
And it looks like they're relatively, I mean, close. I mean, if that
Yeah,
goes out to 25 nautical miles, then yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah,
they were close.
It's actually, if you look at it, it's actually set for, I think it's a quarter of a mile.
Yeah. At 0.125 miles each.
Yeah.
Each
Oh, wow,
ring.
okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so it's
Wow,
relatively
okay.
close. It's within a quarter of a mile.
Yeah. So they were right. Yeah, they were very close.
That's concerning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know something that was concerning that night. We had a few
There's a
things
pucker
happen that night.
factor.
Mhm.
Wow.
We also had EMI effects on our equipment. We actually had our generators shut down, all our power shut down at one point.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you taken any, I'll say civilians, like non-believers out with you and let them see stuff?
Yeah, we've been open to a lot of we had a lot of different guests. We actually had
We've had scientists out there. We've had aviation guys out there.
we've had Gary Nolan out there. We've had Tim is scheduled. Tim scheduled to go out there.
Tim Gallagher.
We've had Keith Taylor. He's the undersheriff of Suffolk County, and
He used to run a SWAT unit.
SWAT unit. Right. He was emergency management.
Yeah.
And he's also part of the UAP medical team.
Wow.
And
Wow.
So he was interested in this for first responders. Say if they came upon this, they're like they're the first on the scene anyway, and they're working all hours, so they'd probably be the first to see these objects.
Kevin Knuth,
So his concern was, how would first responders, what would a protocol for them?
right, and some other folks, I won't mention their names.
There's a few scientists that
for
came out
obvious
there.
reasons,
Yeah, they wanted to keep it.
Yeah,
I guess for stigma or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, it's getting better, but still a little bit.
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We actually
you
brought brought a rock musician out there. You guys know the rock group Zebra?
Yeah,
It was an 80s popular 80s rock band.
classic rock.
The lead singer is a big UFO
Randy Jackson.
buff, so we brought him out there.
Ah, okay. And now I think I've heard of Zebra. I don't know that I'm gonna have to go look it up now.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'll find it. Yeah,
yeah. What is it with Behind the Door? It's
Yeah, if you type it in, there's
some
some
of his
rock bands or
popular
it'll pop
songs.
up on YouTube.
Game on.
I know
Yeah.
Tom DeLonge is into UFOs.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
what, Blink 182?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's
those are the
amazing.
guys you want with some little bit of notoriety too, you know.
Little funding.
Yep.
You know.
So are you guys funded like through your pockets, or is there investors? How does that all work?
We had one investor that same guy that helped out the Galileo project. You know, he had stepped up to the plate, helped us out as well. Not nowhere near, of course, nowhere near the funding that he provided to Galileo, but it would certainly helped us, get to update our equipment.
There was a
And,
combination of John
My
John
401
liquidating his retirement and in this funder coming forward to help us out
yeah,
to make sure we were covered for that time period
yeah.
and to get the equipment we needed, the updated equipment.
That the equipment and I mean, the vehicle itself, and then of course, running the vehicle or maintenance and running the vehicle is expensive as hell.
Mhm.
But
Sure.
but it's of course with something like this, it's necessary.
But he was a godsend. He really was. Otherwise, we would have cut the research short because we wouldn't have had the funding to continue.
Yeah, this guy was
So he stepped up.
can't say enough about it.
Yeah, he stepped up.
Great guy. Great guy.
That's awesome.
When's the next time you guys going out? You got a plan?
We're going out. Yeah, we generally try to get out there at least once every week.
Oh,
So
really?
we'll go on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and we'll stay out there for
And do like a 12-hour run.
until the early morning hours.
Yeah.
And
Now, occasionally things pop up, but at least we try to
yeah,
be
we
consistent.
try to maintain
Yeah.
that schedule. and whoever, whatever volunteers that we can take with us and so forth, victims, volunteers,
Victims.
whatever.
Victims. Yeah.
So I mean, I would like to come out there. I'll put my big boy pants on,
Sure.
and a diaper, and come out there one of these weeks with you guys. That'd be
absolutely,
awesome.
absolutely, wide open.
There was one time we invited a friend of ours who was a psychic, and it's somebody we believe she authentically believed she was a psychic. She was her senses since she was a kid, so we trusted her more than some of the dime store, So she came fortune teller. So she came out and she believed that she might be sensitive to things. She might feel something. She claims to be clairsentient. So we had her she wanted to do an experiment. We said, okay, we'll try your experiment. She wanted to sit out there and open her mind and try to make some kind of
contact,
subconscious contact. So she just wanted us to film it and we had an acoustic system so we could record it, any sounds. We had a parabolic dish.
We were monitoring the sounds coming from her location. We had the cameras on her, the night vision camera,
and we actually had the psychic out, and we had an anthropologist out there too to keep everything on the up and up.
Yeah, so the psychic would sit in front of the anthropologist at a distance, like 10 feet, 20 feet.
About 10 feet.
Yeah. And they would sit in the sand, and
it was pitch black out there.
The psychic had a set of blinders on, and
blindfolded, just the head and a
sound masking, a sound masking system. And she didn't want any stimulus other than what was, she was focusing her mind on. And that night we had an interesting, she got a little nervous at one point and jumped up. She
got very anxious.
She got very anxious. And that moment that she got anxious, she stood up, and our cameras, our night vision camera was overloaded. It looked like infrared light.
There was a massive discharge of infrared energy that overwhelmed the camera. Actually shut our camera
shut down, reset.
Our PTZ camera shut it down.
Yeah. That was the first time that ever happened. Yep. It was kind of an odd situation. But coincidentally or not, I mean, the timing was
perfect.
It was really strange.
And then there was a second incident. There was when they were out there for maybe a half hour, and we did it twice. The second time they did that, they came back to the RV to regroup, and we saw the cameras on. We watched a large orb of light appear where the cut is to the beach. A large orb of light appeared to the on the right from the west end and move east across the field of view, and then suddenly disappear.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So whether or not she had anything to do with that,
it was interesting. Definitely interesting results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a psychic on once. We also had a remote viewer on another time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something to it.
Oh yeah, I think there is.
Yeah, and it's I mean, what is it, CE5 or?
There's some people. Well, we had the researcher we had with us. She was into CE5, and she tried that a few times. I don't know if that drew some of them in, but it was during that period that we were seeing a lot of these objects. So
the Donna Nardo.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
The CE5 thing. What's his name? Stephen Greer is big on that, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, damn, if I go, I have nothing to offer. I got nothing.
Just bring yourself.
Absolutely.
We usually grab a pizza or something,
and we need bait.
Perfect.
What do you bait?
What the hell, man?
You may come back. Sign this waiver.
Mike, if I disappear.
So wait a minute, wasn't he standing here about a second ago?
Nope, I don't know who was. That's funny. Oh my goodness.
They'll take me, they'll throw me right back, trust me. They don't want this. Mike, you coming to New York? When you coming to New York? You're pissing me off, bro.
I'll let you know because there's something going on. I'll fill you in later.
All right.
It's not that
let's keep in touch. And if you guys are really serious about letting me come out with you, I'm
absolutely
coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bring anything home with me, I'm blaming you guys.
That's it.
There's no guarantees on that.
There's no guarantee you're not going to bring something home with you. We have.
Oh, you can do it.
One or two orbs.
Yeah. If you don't mind orbs in your room.
Well, Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, great.
This was an awesome conversation and all those videos. Jesus.
We're happy to be here.
Thanks for
Inviting
taking
us.
us,
Absolutely. Yeah.
covering it.
I'm happy Kevin told me about you guys. That's awesome.
Kevin's a great guy. Yeah.
He is. He really is.
Yeah. Great show.
Yeah. All right.
Mike,
Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Thank you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sold. Like you guys, I'll say this is probably one of top two shows that I think we've done for me personally. So I definitely appreciate everything you guys have talked about, everything you provided.
No, we appreciate it.
And we appreciate it. We definitely
Amazing.
appreciate it.
All pleasure.
Like I said, we did our best to get real data out there, and it was a lot of work, but I think we did a pretty decent job.
Well,
This is
hopefully
what we need.
phase 2 yields more,
Yeah.
That's what we need.
Yeah.
And you guys explain it so a layman can understand it. It's
Mhm.
like,
We bridge the gap between the PhDs and the.
Yep.
yeah. Mike, in your top 2, does that include the legal prostitute we had on?
Of course. Who else would it be? Of course.